I want to cover a story while I have an opportunity here, and it's one that I've been following closely. Having served in the U.S. Marine Corps, I tend to pay attention to the news when it comes to the military, things like that. So you might recall, we covered this already a few times, I think, but in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, there was only one person in the military who has been held accountable to date. This was a lieutenant colonel. He was a battalion commander, 17 years in the Marine Corps, and he posted a video on YouTube. Now, he was in uniform, and in the video, he basically, with some respect, I would argue, he criticized the leadership decisions of those in the military command who were responsible or part responsible for the withdrawal and the terrible reality that became the withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was relieved of command, and they were in the process of trying to court-martial him. I saw a second video from him because I connected to him on LinkedIn. And in the second video, he basically laid it out. He even said, hey, listen, if I had to do this over again, I don't know that I would do this again, because the pressure, the intensity, the spotlight is pretty hot, let's just say. Well, the reality is they were going to court-martial him. They gave him a deal. If he resigned, his commission, he said no more, he went away quietly into the night, then maybe, just maybe, they'll let him go. Well, he doubled down, and he said, listen, out of a sense of accountability, out of a sense of integrity, the commanding general needs to be held accountable for these failures, these strategic failures in leadership. And so in the second video went out, and it didn't help his case at all. In fact, now they've put him in the brig. So to date, he is the only person in the military to be held accountable for the Afghan withdrawal. And he's now in the brig. This is an article, and Adrian, I'm sharing my desktop right now. This is an article out of Fox News. Headline goes like this. Outspoken Marine officer who went viral blasting military leaders over Afghanistan is jailed. Marine Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller rose to internet stardom by posting video slamming U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Marine Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, the officer who went viral for blasting military's leadership amid the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, has been sent to the brig, according to the report. Quote, and this is his father speaking, quote, all our son did is ask the questions that everybody was asking themselves, but they were too scared to speak out loud. Scheller's father, Stu Scheller Sr., told Task and Purpose. He goes on to say, quote, he was asking for accountability. In fact, I think he even asked for an apology that we made mistakes, but they couldn't do that, which is mind-blowing, unquote. Scheller first rose to internet stardom by posting a video to Facebook blasting military leaders for the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, questioning their command decisions on the events leading up to and during the final evacuation effort. Scheller would go on to release several more videos generating praise and controversy while drawing the ire of military leadership. Eventually, he was told by superiors to stop posting to social media altogether, an order he immediately ignored by posting about the gag order. Now, let me interrupt here and say this. So I connected to him, Colonel Scheller, on LinkedIn, and he accepted my request, and I sent him some messages, and I said, listen, if and when you're ever ready to speak publicly, I'd be happy to have you on the program. It'd be an honor. To which he did not respond. And my guess is, since I haven't seen him on any media outlet, he's probably realizing that these videos, this communication is drawing incredible pressure upon him, as is obviously the case. The article goes on to say the officer also seemingly realized that last post could result in his trip to the brig. Quote, what happens when all you do is speak truth and no one wants to hear it? But they can probably stop listening because I'm crazy, right? Scheller wrote at the end of the post. Colonel Emil, please have the MPs waiting for me at 0800 on Monday. I'm ready for jail, unquote. Scheller is, quote, currently in pretrial confinement, unquote, a spokesman for Training and Education Command said of the officer's status. Quote, the time, date, and location of the proceedings have not been determined. Lieutenant Colonel Scheller will be afforded all due process, unquote, the statement continued. But the elder Scheller defended his son, arguing that he was only asking for, quote, accountability, unquote, for the military's top brass. Now, here's what kills me about this. Just yesterday, up on the Hill, we see these very same commanding generals and the Secretary of Defense being questioned, right? They admit that they gave their advice to the president to keep troops in the country. And that was ignored. They were asked, I think it was, at least 10 days after the fall of Kabul for their advice. 10 whole days. And prior to that, they didn't offer their advice to the president. It is very alarming to me to see such catastrophic failures. And the only guy held accountable is the guy who says, you need to be accountable. Because why? Because the private Lance Corporal Sergeant who dares break the slightest rule gets court-martialed or office hours and the full weight of the Uniform Code of Military Justice slammed on them, while generals get to walk away probably with their pensions and their reputations fully intact with no consequence to action. It is completely upside down. It is completely upside down. Where is the leadership by example in that? Where is the integrity in that story? It is very concerning to, I know, to me and to all who have served our country, especially those combat veterans. So let's continue to pray for Stuart Scheller, his family, which is now in a very uncertain future. We're going to be continuing to keep them in our prayer, but let's pray for all those that were affected by the debacle of the Afghan withdrawal, to include the locals. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back and cover some more What's Concerning Us stories. It's all coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Had a drive time. Headed your way.